Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Superposable Indoraptor. Now this is going to be the last Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom figure review after this one. I'm going to continue with the Dino Rivals line. I know I said I was going to take a look at the LEGO sets from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I kind of decided against that because they're kind of tucked away somewhere. I don't really know where they are. So I don't really want to go through all that effort just to get them, so I think I'm just going to move on with the Dino Rivals. In the future, after I review, everything Jurassic Park related, then maybe I'll move back to the Legos, but I think as of right now, I think I'm just going to go straight to the Dino Rivals. So, yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, the Indoraptor, what do I think? I'm going to be completely honest. The Indoraptor, I think, is so stupid. I absolutely hate the Indoraptor. I don't like any of the hybrids from Jurassic World, Jurassic World. I don't like the Indominus Rex. I don't like the Spinoraptor, Ankylodocus, or Stegoceratops. And those last three actually appeared in Jurassic World Evolution. And, yeah, no, I just think that, hybrids to me are just a really stupid idea. And I know hybrids have technically been a thing since the first movie. Because, when they got the DNA, there were gaps, so they had to fill that with the DNA of frogs. That I understand completely. I feel like, that's the excuse of, not only are there dinosaurs on the island, but that's also an excuse for me for, that's why they're not historically accurate. So, yeah, and again, I don't hate historically accurate dinosaurs, but I just want them out of Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park is one of those things where it's already, established how the dinosaurs look, so I think including, scientifically accurate dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, I think would look weird. But then the idea of, what if we took another dinosaur and put those two together? That's when I feel like things get a little stupid for me. So, in other words, dinosaur hybrids of each other, I think are stupid, but dinosaur hybrids of frogs, I think is cool, which doesn't necessarily sound good. Hearing that out loud, but I digress. I'm kind of rambling on, so I think I'm just going to get right into this. So, yeah. Anyway, first of all, we'll take a look at the painting on this figure, and the painting on this figure, not gonna lie, it's really nice. They definitely skimped out in some parts, but for the most part, the painting here actually doesn't look awful, so let's take a closer look. So, of course, most of the figure here is a glossy black, which actually does look very nice. And we do get a yellow streak from the end of the tail here all the way to the neck, which actually does remind me of a garter snake, and I actually really do like that. So, yeah. Going to the head here, we can see that the eyes are painted red with black pupils, which is accurate, and we do get a red streak going down the side of the face right here, which I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, because it's been a while since I've seen Fallen Kingdom, but either way, if it is accurate, then, props to Mattel for including that, but at the same time, I just think it looks stupid, like the Indoraptor as a whole, but I digress. Going to the teeth here, we can see that they're painted a bonish white. And if we open up the mouth, we can see that the tongue is painted pink, as well as the membrane, but the other parts of the mouth, not painted, not the roof, not the, what's below the tongue or anything like that. Everything is just, black, which I feel like is a little lazy, but whatever. And something I find weird here, usually what they do with these figures is that they paint the toenails, but they don't paint the fingernails. They didn't paint any of the nails here. Everything here is just black. I feel like painting here would have been a little nice, but at the end of the day, it doesn't look awful, so yeah. And that is pretty much it for the painting on this figure. The painting on this figure, for the most part, I think is good. Everything looks great. I feel like the inside of the mouth could have used a little more paint, as well as the nails on this figure, but again, for the most part, the painting here is great. So the painting on this figure, I'd say, gets 3/4 of a pass. If it wasn't for the inside of the mouth and the nails, then I feel like this figure would get a full pass, but 3/4 of a pass is something that I feel is fair. So, yeah. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure, again, is actually very good. The articulation is, of course, the main gimmick of the superposable, line. This is the only figure in the superposable line, so, yeah, or super articulated, whatever you want to call it. Either way, this figure is very articulated, so let's just take a look at this. So the mouth can open, and close like so. And we have a ball joint here and a ball joint here. The arms can move outwards like so, and we do have a bend at the elbow here, as well as a swivel that can move 360. Same articulation here, except the wrists I feel are very fragile, so do be careful when you move these. This isn't really an SH Monster Arts figure or NECA figure, so you know, if it was one of those, then I'd say that this would be somewhat fine, but this is something that kids are going to play with, so like, I'd say that I can easily imagine a kid snapping this off, so do be careful with this wrist. Anyway, taking a look at the legs here, we can see that they can move 360, and they can spread like so. There's a bend at the knee, so you can bend them like so, and you can kind of swivel it around, and same with this joint here. So, yeah. Going to the tail here, we have 2 ball joints, and this is something that this figure has over the Amber collection. Something I really like is that, you know, this figure actually has an articulated tail, and not just a bendy wire. I like the Amber collection Raptor. It's not my favorite, but I do like that figure a lot. Though I will say this, one thing I really don't like about that figure is the fact that it has a bendy wire in its tail. And this is just an articulated tail, and this is how it should be. Bendy wires, I've said this before, but I really don't like bendy wires because, you know, over time they probably will break if you're not careful, and then once it snaps inside, then there's not really a lot you can do. With jointed tails, you could just move it around and you don't have to really worry about that. Unless the joints are really, like, weak, but, well, if the joints aren't, then you should be good, is all I'm saying. So, yeah, either way, articulated tail is much appreciated here. Also, not really, you know, joints or anything like that, but something I really appreciate. The quills here do actually move a little, so they're made of, like, rubber, so you can kind of get them to move a little, which is very nice, and I like that a lot. So, yeah. And same with the quills on the back of the head here. And that is pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. And the articulation on this figure is not bad at all. I think it's very good for what it is. It's not like anything like you'd see from SH Monster Arts or NECA or anything like that, but the articulation on this figure I still feel like is very nice. So the articulation definitely gets a pass. Now I'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure I'd say is really good for the most part. My only issue would be the head. I think the teeth look not really the best. And we do have a very noticeable seam right here near the teeth, but other than that, the body itself is sculpted very nicely. So the sculpting, I'd say gets a pass. I feel like the sculpting on the head isn't really too much of a deal breaker for me. It's definitely there and noticeable, but again, not a deal breaker, so I feel like I could pretty much ignore that. So the sculpting here gets a pass. Now take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure is great. I really like the detailing here, so let's take a closer look. So taking a look at the head here, we can see all the scaling and all the creases and whatnot. Ignoring the seam right here, the detailing here is very nicely defined. Everything here looks great. And that continues all the way down the body. And again, the scaling here really reminds me of like a snake, and I really like that. And that also, you know, with this whole garter snake stripe right here, really adds to that. So the Indoraptor is very snake-like for me. So, yeah, very nice detailing on the side of the body here. And even on the arms, we have some very nice musculature. The detailing here is great. And even the hands themselves look great too. That actually kind of reminds me of a xenomorph from Alien. And I guess that's why people really like the Indoraptor, because the Indoraptor just looks a lot like a xenomorph from Alien, which is very understandable, but, you know, at least where I stand, you know, just kind of like keep Alien out of Jurassic Park, please. Thank you. So, yeah. Anyway, the scales on the side of the leg here looks very nice. Everything here, again, detailed very nicely, very well defined, and very nice musculature in the legs. And the feet themselves are detailed nicely as well. Really quick, I just want to talk about the back of this figure. We do have some bigger scales, which, again, looks great. We do have a bit of a seam, you can see there, but it's not very noticeable, and everything here still looks great. And going to the tail here, the scaling here still continues to look great. And that is pretty much it for the detail on this figure. The detail on this figure, I gotta say, is really good. I really like what they did with the detailing here. So the detailing on this figure definitely gets a pass. So at the end of the day, should you get this? Honestly, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to try to keep my, biased opinions out of this, but I'd say that, the overall sculpt, the painting on this figure, not bad. The detailing and the articulation for what it is great. So I feel like in that aspect, this figure is definitely, a solid B+, maybe even just a B. Not an A by any means, but a B. But then there's that little part of me that just thinks that the Indoraptor is stupid. So the way I see it, if you like the Indoraptor, then I'd say definitely get this figure. But if you're like me and you don't like the Indoraptor, then don't get this. There is another Indoraptor figure out there where it's like electronic and it makes noises, which I haven't gotten that, and I don't plan on to. I don't plan on getting it anytime soon. So, yeah. I might sell this in the future, just like with a lot of my Jurassic World figures, truth be told. Like, at least out of the Fallen Kingdom line, I might sell a lot of those figures, and even some of the other figures I own, but yeah, not all of them, but some of them I might end up selling in the future, but we'll just have to see. So the Indoraptor, not a bad figure. In fact, it's pretty good, but unfortunately, I don't like it, so again, if you like the Indoraptor, then I'd say definitely get this. Or if you just like, really posable figures in general, definitely get this. But if you're like me and you're not a big fan of the Indoraptor, then unfortunately, I'd say don't get this. But even if you don't like the Indoraptor, but still really like really articulated dinosaur figures like this, then again, I'd say that this figure is definitely worth it. So yeah, this figure originally retailed for about $20, though a while ago I do believe that these figures actually went on clearance for like $13. So I'm sure you can get this figure for pretty cheap, so it's not the end of the world if you buy it, but at the same time, you still bought it if you don't like it, so there's always that. But anyway, I'm going on too much. If you want to know how big this figure is, here it is next to Dr. Billy Grant, and I feel like the Indoraptor is way too big. I don't feel like it was this big in the movie. If it was just a little smaller, I feel like it looked a little nicer, but yeah, no, this Indoraptor I feel like is way too big, so yeah. Anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.